The sun was just thinking about climbing higher. It painted the little town of Harmony Creek in soft, sleepy colors. Houses stood neatly, gardens were tidy, picket fences gleamed white. Into this quiet scene a car appeared. It was a vintage convertible. Its color was a deep, impossible red like a forgotten dream. The driver was a man, or perhaps something more than a man. He wore a smile that knew secrets. He called himself Lord Whimsy.
His hat was tilted just so. He seemed to bring a different kind of air with him, a breeze from a place not found on any map.
Lord Whimsy drove slowly. He didn't seem to be in a hurry. The red car glided down Main Street. Its engine hummed a low, contented tune. It was a sound that didn't quite belong, yet felt strangely right. A few early risers paused. They watched the car pass. They saw the glint of chrome. They saw the relaxed figure at the wheel. He nodded to a startled milkman. The milkman nearly dropped his bottles. Such cars were not common in Harmony Creek. Such drivers were even rarer. The town held its breath just for a moment. Something was about to happen. It always did when the old powers decided to play.
The car was a marvel. It shone as if polished by starlight itself. Every curve, every line spoke of an era long past, yet it felt new.
Lord Whimsy's hands rested lightly on the steering wheel. His fingers tapped a silent rhythm. He observed the town with an amused expression. He saw the carefully tended flower beds. He saw the porch swings waiting for evening conversations. He saw the sleepy cats still curled in patches of early sun. They were unaware. They were about to become part of something quite extraordinary. The air itself seemed to grow still, expectant, holding a secret. Harmony Creek was a place where routines were sacred. Tuesday was market day, Wednesday was library club, surprises were usually small, a new flavor of jam at the general store, a slightly delayed post. Lord Whimsy and his vibrant red machine was not a small surprise. He was a splash of wild paint on a calm canvas. He was a note of unexpected music in a familiar song. The town, usually so sure of itself, felt a tiny shiver. It was the kind of shiver that comes before a summer storm, or perhaps before a little bit of magic.
And magic, Lord Whimsy knew, was best served with a smile.
As the red convertible neared the town square, Lord Whimsy reached for a button on the dashboard. It was an old-fashioned button, made of Bakelite. He pressed it. Music began to play from hidden speakers. It wasn't loud, it was jazzy. It was a playful, mischievous tune full of brass and syncopation. The notes seemed to dance in the air. They swirled around the lampposts. They tickled the ears of anyone nearby. The music was like a secret whispered, one that only certain ears could truly understand. It was a call, an invitation. The cats of Harmony Creek heard it first. Old Man Hemlock's Ginger Tom Marmalade was sunning himself on a warm stone wall. His ears twitched. He lifted his head. His green eyes, usually half closed in lazy contentment, opened wide. Down the street, Mrs. Periwinkle's fluffy Persian Snowball paused mid-groom. One leg remained awkwardly in the air. Her delicate pink nose quivered. Across the square, a sleek black cat named Midnight, who belonged to no one and everyone, stopped his prowl. He tilted his head, listening intently. The music was unlike anything they had ever heard before. It tugged at something deep inside them. The melody was infectious. It was a tune that made you want to tap your feet, or in this case, your paws. Slowly, cautiously at first, the cats began to move. Marmalade uncurled himself. He stretched, a long, luxurious stretch. Then, he hopped down from the wall. Snowball lowered her leg. She took a tentative step, then another. Midnight melted out of the shadows. He moved with a newfound lightness. One by one, from every corner of Harmony Creek, cats emerged. They came from gardens and alleyways. They slipped out of open windows and from under parked cars. They were all drawn by the enchanting jazzy notes. The music seemed to weave a spell. It was a playful spell, not a dark one. The cats felt an irresistible urge. Their whiskers tingled, their tails began to sway, not in their usual independent manner, but in time with the music. It was subtle at first, a flick here, a twitch there. But as they drew closer to the red convertible, their movements became more pronounced. They were no longer just individual cats, they were becoming something else. They were becoming dancers. Lord Whimsy watched them gather, his smile widening. The show was about to begin. He loved a good show, especially one with such enthusiastic performers. As more cats converged around Lord Whimsy's gleaming red car, the magic truly took hold. The jazzy rhythm pulsed through the air. The cats, dozens of them now, began to dance. It was not a clumsy, accidental dance. It was impossibly coordinated. They moved in perfect synchrony. Tabby cats twirled with Siamese. Persians pirouetted alongside common moggies. Their paws tapped the cobblestones in time with the snare drum. Their tails swished like elegant furry metronomes, keeping pace with the saxophone's playful melody. It was a sight that defied all logic, all understanding of feline behavior. They formed circles around the convertible. They wove intricate patterns. One moment, they were leaping in unison, their bodies arched gracefully. The next, they were performing a conga line, each cat's front paws resting lightly on the back of the one in front. They shimmied, they swayed, they did little kicks with their hind legs. A particularly agile calico performed a series of backflips. A portly tabby managed a surprisingly nimble foxtrot. Lord Whimsy chuckled, tapping his fingers on the steering wheel. He conducted them with subtle nods and winks. The music flowed and the cats flowed with it. A few bewildered townsfolk, those who had ventured out for early errands, stopped in their tracks. Their jaws dropped. Mr. Grumbles, the notoriously grumpy baker, forgot to grumble. He simply stared, a half-eaten donut suspended in midair. Young Tilly, on her way to buy sweets, pointed with wide, unbelieving eyes. She thought perhaps she was still dreaming. It had to be a dream. Cats did not dance, not like this, not with such flair, such precision. It was a ballet of whiskers and tails, a feline carnival unfolding in the heart of their ordinary town. The scene was utterly charming and utterly baffling. The cats themselves seemed to be in a state of joyful abandon. Their eyes sparkled with an unusual light. They were lost in the music, lost in the dance. There was no hissing, no fighting for territory. For this brief magical interlude, they were a single, harmonious troupe. They spun and leaped, their movements fluid and graceful. They seemed to understand the music on a profound level. It spoke to a wild, playful spirit hidden deep within their usually reserved natures. Lord Whimsy's jazz had unlocked it. The town square of Harmony Creek had become an impromptu, furry Broadway stage, and the performers were giving the show of a lifetime. The first owner to notice something amiss was Mrs. Higgins. Her beloved Tittles, a creature of habit, was not at his breakfast bowl. She called his name. No Tittles. Panic began to set in. Soon, other calls echoed through Harmony Creek.
Whiskers, Patches, where are you?
Doors opened, concerned faces peered out. The realization dawned slowly, then all at once. The cats were gone. All of them. A wave of mild, then escalating panic swept through the pet-owning populace. They rushed out of their homes, calling, searching, their morning routines utterly shattered by this unprecedented feline exodus. They found them in the town square, dancing, their cats dancing, around a strange red car, driven by an even stranger man with a knowing smile. The owners blinked. They rubbed their eyes. Some pinched themselves.
Mr. Henderson tried to grab his tabby, Mittens. But Mittens, caught in the jazzy spell, merely sidestepped him with a graceful ply and continued her routine.
Mrs. Gable lunged for her Siamese Cleo, only to have Cleo leap elegantly over her outstretched hands. The scene was one of comedic chaos. Owners chasing, cats dancing, the music playing on, bright and unconcerned. It was a delightful, bewildering spectacle of humans versus rhythm. Then, as suddenly as it began, the music softened. Lord Whimsy gave a final, satisfied nod. He put the red convertible into gear. With a cheerful wave to the perplexed crowd of cat owners, he drove away. The car glided out of the square, its jazzy tune fading into the morning air. And just like that, the cats stopped dancing. They blinked, shook their heads as if waking from a peculiar dream, and looked around. Marmalade yawned. Snowball began to groom herself again, as if nothing had happened. Midnight simply stretched and sauntered towards a patch of sun. The spell was broken. The owners, still panting, stared at their now perfectly normal pets. Then they stared at each other. Had it really happened? Had all their cats, their sensible, independent cats, just performed a synchronized dance routine in the town square? There was no evidence left, only the memory. A strange, shared dream. They gathered their bewildered felines. As they walked home, whispers followed them. Whispers of magic. Whispers of a man in a red car. Harmony Creek would talk about this day for years. They would wonder. And Lord Whimsy, miles away, would smile. He knew that sometimes a little bit of impossible joy was exactly what a quiet town needed.